Under the golden sun of Morocco, where the dunes whisper and the Atlas Mountains glow, there's a secret the desert's been keeping. It's not gold, it's not oil, it's feathers. Have you ever wondered how a place so dry, so endless, could be home to some of the most beautiful and rare birds on Earth? Well, stick around, because the answer might just change how you see the desert forever. From sacred ibises that once flew beside pharaohs, to bright green bee-eaters flashing like living jewels above the sand. Morocco is full of surprises. Some of these birds sing like angels. Some look like they escaped from a painting. And a few, well, they look like they were designed by a committee of artists who couldn't agree on a color palette. So buckle up. We're flying from the Sahara's burning heart to the blue edge of the Mediterranean. By the end, you'll discover which Moroccan bird still hides a mystery scientists haven't solved. Even today, can you guess which one it is? Let's find out. Our story begins with a bird that looks like it flew straight out of a medieval painting. And somehow it did. Meet the Northern Bald Ibis, a glossy black bird with a red face, a punk-style crest, and the attitude of a rock star that's seen too much desert sun. Once upon a time, thousands of these ibises soared across North Africa and the Middle East. In ancient Egypt, they were considered messengers of the gods, sacred enough to appear in temple carvings. But today, only a few hundred remain in the wild, and most of them, they call Morocco home. That's right. This country is one of the last safe havens for a species that nearly vanished. Imagine that. The same skies that once carried Pharaoh's prayers now shelter one of the rarest birds alive. But here's a twist. Despite its gloomy looks, this bird has a surprisingly goofy side. Northern bald ibises are extremely social. They live in noisy colonies, bickering like old married couples over whose rock ledge is better. They're also loyal. They return to the same nesting cliffs year after year, like tourists booking the same hotel every summer. Here's a fun fact. When the young ibises migrate, they actually follow human-led ultralight aircraft to learn their ancestral routes. A real-life bird school in the sky. Yep, you can spot scientists flying tiny planes with a squad of ibises flapping behind them like a feathery parade. So here's the question. If you could bring back one ancient creature from the brink of extinction, would it be this quirky bald bird or something even stranger? Either way, Morocco's desert skies have plenty more surprises waiting, because just beyond the cliffs where the ibises nest, another winged wanderer rides the warm air currents. A white and yellow scavenger once worshipped as a symbol of wisdom. Let's meet the Egyptian vulture. Now, if the northern bald ibis looked like a rock star, this next bird, he's more like the wise old scholar of the desert, except with a slightly ridiculous haircut. Meet the Egyptian vulture, small for a vulture, white as a cloud, and with a bright yellow face that looks like it's permanently sunburned. You'll often spot it soaring high over Morocco's mountains and dry valleys, wings wide, eyes sharp, searching for its next meal. But don't be fooled by that angelic white plumage. This bird has one very sneaky habit. It eats leftovers, a professional recycler of the wild. And when it finds an ostrich egg, too tough to crack open, it doesn't give up. Nope. The Egyptian vulture grabs a rock, holds it in its beak, and smashes the egg open. It's one of the first animals on Earth ever recorded using tools. Think about that for a second. A vulture that figured out how to use a rock as a hammer. Who needs opposable thumbs when you've got brains and beak power? And that's not all. This clever bird also loves a little self-care. Scientists have seen Egyptian vultures bathing themselves in red mud, almost like they're applying sunscreen or, who knows, a desert spa treatment. But beneath the humor, there's a sad truth. These majestic scavengers are disappearing fast. Poisoned food, power lines, and habitat loss have driven them toward extinction. Yet here in Morocco, they still soar, symbols of survival, intelligence, and that timeless desert wisdom. So here's a thought for you. If a vulture can be smart enough to use tools, maybe we humans still have a thing or two to learn about adaptation, huh? And speaking of surviving the impossible, our next feathered traveler takes that idea to a whole new level. It's tiny, tough, and thrives where few others dare to live. Right in the heart of the Sahara itself, meet the unstoppable desert sparrow. If the Egyptian vulture is the clever professor of the desert, then this next one is the scrappy little student who refuses to quit. Meet the desert sparrow, a tiny puffball of feathers that somehow calls the blazing Sahara home. No forest, no rivers, no shade, just sun, sand, and wind. And this brave little bird says, "Yeah, I'm good here." How does it survive? Well, the desert sparrow has mastered the art of minimalism. It doesn't waste energy flying around all day. Instead, it hops between dunes, foraging for seeds, and sips droplets of morning dew like it's a five-star meal. Its pale feathers act like a natural air conditioner, reflecting sunlight instead of absorbing it. Basically, it's wearing built-in desert sunscreen. And here's the fun part. These sparrows aren't just tough, they're social. They live in small communities near nomadic camps, and sometimes even share nesting spaces with humans. You might wake up in a desert tent, unzip the flap, and boom, there's a tiny bird giving you the side eye for being late with breakfast. But here's the real twist. In Berber culture, spotting a desert sparrow is actually considered good luck. It's a sign that water and hope aren't far away. Imagine that, a bird weighing less than an ounce being treated like a desert guardian. It's kind of poetic, isn't it? In a place where life seems impossible, this little creature thrives, quietly proving that toughness isn't about size but about heart. So let me ask you, if you were a bird, would you choose comfort in the forest or courage in the desert? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious which one you'd pick. And speaking of color and courage, let's swap the sandy browns for a flash of emerald green and sky blue. Our next bird isn't just tough. It's one of the most dazzling flyers in all of Morocco's skies. Say hello to the blue-cheeked bee-eater. If the desert sparrow is the survivor of the Sahara, then this next bird is the show-off who decided the desert needed a little more fashion sense. Meet the blue-cheeked bee-eater, the kind of bird that makes you stop mid-step and say, "Wait, did someone just release a flying rainbow?" Shimmering emerald green, golden chest, and those signature sky blue cheeks. This bird looks like it was painted by the same artist who did tropical postcards. But here's the twist. It's not from the jungle. It's from the desert. Every spring, these bee-eaters migrate across the Sahara, darting through the heat waves like living sparks of color. Their favorite snack? Bees, of course. But don't worry, they're professional about it. They actually catch the bee midair, land on a branch, and whack it gently to remove the stinger before eating. That's right. Even their dining manners are classy. And get this, blue-cheeked bee-eaters are daredevils of the sky. They hunt on the wing, performing wild twists and turns like stunt pilots at an air show. One second, they're dots in the clouds. The next, they're inches above the sand, snatching a wasp at full speed. Here's a fun fact. When they migrate, hundreds of them can line up on a single wire, a shimmering chain of color against Morocco's blue sky. Locals say it's like a necklace of jewels the wind forgot to steal. Pretty poetic, huh? But I want to know, if you could borrow one superpower from this bird, would you choose its colors or its fearless flight? Drop your answer below. I'm betting most of us would pick both. Because just when you think Morocco can't get any more colorful, another winged artist enters the scene, one that's just as vibrant, but maybe even more famous across the Mediterranean. Let's meet its close cousin, the European bee-eater. If Morocco had a fashion runway for birds, the European bee-eater would definitely strut down it. Head high, feathers glowing, and zero humility. This bird is a full-blown color explosion. Chestnut, turquoise, gold, and green, layered so perfectly it looks like nature's own designer brand. Seriously, if Gucci made birds, this would be the one. You'll spot them gliding over the valleys of Morocco every spring and summer, their musical calls echoing through the air like laughter on a warm evening. They arrive in flocks, turning the sky into a kaleidoscope of motion and sound. But here's the fun twist. Despite being drop-dead gorgeous, these birds are also stone-cold assassins of bees. They catch them mid-flight, like little jet fighters on a mission. Then, thwack, they smack the bee against a branch to remove the stinger. Efficient, elegant, slightly ruthless, kind of like James Bond in feathers. And get this, they live in burrows. Yep, not trees, not cliffs, but tunnels they dig themselves into sandy banks. Imagine a glamorous bird digging dirt like a miner. It's the ultimate mix of beauty and hard work. Here's a fun fact. Scientists found that these birds actually tan in the sun. Their feathers get brighter the more sunlight they absorb. So next time you see a dazzling bee eater, you're basically looking at the desert's version of a sun-kissed supermodel. Now tell me, if you could design your own bird outfit, would you go for the wild colors of the bee eater or something more mysterious and dark? Drop your pick. I'm curious who's team rainbow and who's team stealth. Because next we're trading all that shimmer for something royal, a bird crowned with feathers that look like a medieval helmet, and a call that sounds straight out of a fairy tale. Let's meet one of Morocco's most legendary icons, the hoopoe. Now get ready to meet a bird so unique. Even its name sounds like a punchline. The hoopoe. Yep, that's really what it's called. And the first time you hear its voice, you'll know why. Hoopoe, hoopoe. It literally says its own name like it's introducing itself to the world. Confident, a little dramatic. I love that energy. With its cinnamon orange feathers and a fan-shaped crest that flips open like a royal crown, the hoopoe looks like it just walked out of an ancient legend, which in Morocco, it basically did. In Islamic folklore, the hoopoe was said to be a messenger of King Solomon, carrying secret wisdom between humans and the heavens. Talk about a divine LinkedIn connection. But beyond the mythology, this bird is a real-life wonder. You'll find it strutting across gardens, oases, and olive groves, probing the soil for insects with its long, curved beak. And here's a fun fact. The hoopoe has a natural defense system. When threatened, it can release a stinky liquid from its tail feathers. Basically, nature's version of back off, I'm not in the mood. It's weird, but effective. And get this, despite looking royal, hoopoes are surprisingly down-to-earth parents. They nest in small holes and fiercely guard their chicks, sometimes dive-bombing intruders twice their size. You've never seen a tiny bird act so fearless. So here's a question for you. If you could have one superpower from the animal kingdom, would you pick the hoopoe's fancy crown or its natural perfume defense? Be honest, I'm guessing the crown wins. Because up next, we're leaving royal gardens behind and climbing into Morocco's rugged cliffs, where another bird, shimmering blue and solitary, waits under the mountain sun. Let's meet the mysterious blue rock thrush. High above Morocco's valleys, where the wind hums through the cliffs, a flash of sapphire catches your eye and vanishes. That's no illusion. It's the blue rock thrush, a bird that looks like a gemstone brought to life. Deep blue feathers, darker wings, and a stance so confident you'd think it owns the entire mountain. But here's the twist. Despite its royal looks, this bird is a total loner. It's called solitarius for a reason. While other birds flock together, the blue rock thrush prefers quiet perches, singing its haunting, echoing song across the empty stone walls of old kasbahs. Locals say its song sounds like the soul of the mountain itself, melancholy, mysterious, and strangely comforting. You could be standing in the ruins of an ancient fortress, and somewhere above you, that soft whistle reminds you. Even solitude can be beautiful. Now, don't let the calm fool you. This thrush is a skilled hunter. It darts between rocks, catching insects and small lizards like a blue shadow. And when the heat gets brutal, it disappears into cool crevices, perfectly blending with the stone. Nature's version of stealth mode. Here's a fun fact. Male blue rock thrushes sometimes perform balcony concerts from rooftops and minarets in Moroccan towns. They sing not just to attract mates, but seemingly for the joy of it. A bird that sings because it can. Kind of poetic, right? So here's a question for you. If you had to choose between living among people or staying alone in peace, which one would you pick? Would you be the social sparrow or the soulful thrush on the cliff. Because next we're staying in those rocky lands, but trading sapphire feathers for sleek black armor. It's bold, mysterious, and built for the desert winds. Let's meet the black wheatear. From sapphire blue to midnight black, welcome to the darker side of Morocco's cliffs, home of the black wheatear. Now don't be fooled by the name wheatear. You might picture a gentle farm bird sipping water from a wheat field. Nope. This bird looks like it belongs in a spy movie. Sleek, all black, with a white tail that flashes only when it flies away, like it's saying, "You'll never catch me." The black wheatear loves the dry, rocky landscapes of southern Morocco, where temperatures can melt your shoe soles. While most birds would head for the trees, this one thrives among cliffs and ruins, perching on boulders like a tiny desert king. Here's a fun twist. This bird is obsessed with collecting stones. Yes, literal rocks. The male gathers them by the hundreds and piles them outside his nesting hole, a sort of avian real estate display. Scientists still argue why. Is it decoration, territory marking, or maybe he's just showing off? Hey ladies, look at my rock collection. And get this, each pebble can weigh as much as the bird itself. That's like you hauling around your own body weight 200 times. So yeah, respect the hustle. But behind the cool attitude, the black wheatear has a softer side. Pairs stay loyal for life, defending their rocky homes together. And when danger comes close, they don't fly away, they stand their ground. Small bird, big courage. So tell me, if you were this bird, would you decorate your home with trophies? Or keep it simple like a minimalist sparrow? I'm betting the black wheatear would roll its eyes and say, "Simple is boring." But speaking of family and strange behavior, our next bird takes parenting to a whole new level. It doesn't build, it doesn't care. It lets someone else do the hard work. Let's meet the sly and surprising great spotted cuckoo. If the black wheatear is the hard-working homeowner of the desert, then this next bird is, let's say, the freeloader with flair. Meet the great spotted cuckoo, a bird that's beautiful, sneaky, and a master of letting others raise its kids. Yep, you heard that right. While most birds are busy building nests and feeding chicks, this one just outsources parenting. Here's how it works. The female cuckoo finds the nest of another bird, usually a magpie, and when no one's looking, she slips in, lays her egg, and flies off like nothing happened. Mom of the year? Not exactly, but here's the wild part. Her chick doesn't attack the host's babies like other cuckoos do. Instead, it grows up right beside them, screaming louder, eating faster, and somehow convincing its foster parents to feed it more. Talk about emotional manipulation. And get this, scientists found that the cuckoo chick's smelly droppings actually protect the nest from predators. So in a strange twist, this little troublemaker might be saving its adopted siblings. Nature's got a weird sense of humor, doesn't it? The great spotted cuckoo is also quite the traveler. You'll spot it in Morocco's open scrublands and olive groves, arriving with spring, vanishing again in autumn, like a mysterious guest who never stays too long. Here's a fun fact. Its call sounds a bit like laughter echoing across the hills as if it knows exactly how clever it is. So here's my question. If you could skip one responsibility in life and have someone else do it for you, what would it be? Be honest. We all have our cuckoo moments. Because while this bird relies on others to raise its young, our next one relies on something even more surprising. Its voice. A golden flash among green leaves, a melody so pure it can stop you in your tracks. Let's meet the songbird royalty of Morocco, the Eurasian golden oriole. From desert tricksters to pure elegance, now we meet a bird that doesn't sneak, doesn't hide, and doesn't need to. Because when you look this good, the world just stops to stare. Say hello to the Eurasian golden oriole, a flash of lemon yellow and jet black wings. It looks like sunlight given feathers. You'll often hear it before you see it. That clear, flute-like song drifting through Morocco's fig trees and olive groves. So perfect it sounds like someone's playing a tune just for you. Here's the hook. The golden oriole is a ghost. You can be standing right under the tree where it's singing and still never spot it. It moves in the canopy like a ray of light. There, then gone, leaving only music behind. And fun fact, male orioles are bright and bold, but the females? They're greenish and camouflage like a stealthy leaf ninja. While he's showing off and singing, she's the one actually getting things done. Building the nest, weaving grass and bark into a delicate hanging cradle. Classic teamwork, right? Another surprise, these birds are long-distance travelers. Every year they migrate all the way from Europe to Africa, crossing deserts, storms, and seas, just to chase the warmth of the Moroccan spring. Imagine doing that flight without Wi-Fi or snacks. And here's the twist. Some locals believe hearing its song brings good fortune, because in a place where the heat can silence everything, the oriole's voice reminds people that beauty always finds a way to return. So let me ask you, if your life had a soundtrack, what kind of bird song would play for your mornings? Would it be calm like the oriole or wild like the desert winds? Because speaking of wild voices, our next bird doesn't sing melodies. It chatters, argues, and never stops talking. Just like that noisy neighbor you secretly love. Let's meet the ever-chatty common bulbul. If the golden oriole was a graceful musician, this next bird is the comedian of the neighborhood. Meet the common bulbul, small, curious, and never, ever quiet. You'll find them in gardens, rooftops, markets, and even cafe patios across Morocco. Basically anywhere people are. They're the chatty locals of the bird world, and honestly, if birds had social media, the bulbul would be running 5 accounts at once. Their song? Let's call it creative. Not exactly melodic like the oriole, more like a mix of chirps, whistles, and random squawks, as if it's constantly giving commentary on your life. Hey, you dropped your breadcrumb. I'll take that, thanks. But don't underestimate them. These birds are clever. They've learned to live right beside humans, nabbing insects and fruit from trees, sometimes even swooping down to steal dates or crumbs from cafe tables. They're the ultimate survivors, adaptable, bold, and slightly mischievous. Here's a fun fact. Bulbuls form lifelong pairs and are incredibly expressive. They greet each other with soft calls, preen one another, and even have tiny arguments when one takes too long finding food. It's like a miniature bird soap opera unfolding in your backyard. And the twist. Despite being common, they're one of the few species that help trees grow by eating fruit and spreading seeds all across the landscape. So yeah, while they're loud and nosy, they're also little gardeners, keeping Morocco's green patches alive. So tell me, if you could talk to animals, which bird would you want as your daily gossip buddy? The wise vulture, the classy oriole, or this chatty little bulbul? I know who I'd pick. At least the bulbul never gets boring. And speaking of voices that echo through the night, our next bird trades sunlight chatter for moonlit mystery. Big eyes, silent wings, the kind of bird that makes the dark feel alive. Let's meet the hauntingly beautiful tawny owl. As the sun sets over Morocco's forests and olive groves, the day's chorus fades, and a new voice takes over. Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo! That's not the wind. That's the tawny owl, the quiet guardian of the night. Now I know what you're thinking. Owls are everywhere in stories. Wise, mysterious, spooky, right? But the tawny owl takes that reputation seriously. It's got big round eyes, soft brown feathers, and a face so expressive it looks permanently concerned about your life choices. These owls are masters of stealth. Their feathers are designed like soundproof armor, each one fringed to muffle the air when they fly. So when a tawny owl hunts, you don't hear it coming. One moment the night is silent, the next a mouse disappears. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Here's a fun twist. Tawny owls are not loners. They actually form lifelong bonds, and their duets echo through the night like a spooky love song. The male calls, hoo-hoo! The female replies, Kiwik! It's like an owl version of, honey, I'm home. And get this, in medieval Europe, People believed hearing a tawny owl meant bad luck. But in Morocco, many locals see them differently, as protectors of the night, keeping balance between life and death in the forest. A little eerie, maybe, but also poetic. So here's my question. If you could roam the world unseen, like the tawny owl, gliding through the dark, would you use that power to explore, or to simply watch and listen? Because while this owl rules the night in secret, our next one takes that mystery and multiplies it by 10. It's bigger, fiercer, and legendary across the cliffs of Morocco. Let's meet the Eurasian eagle owl, the heavyweight champion of the night sky. If the tawny owl is the soft-spoken poet of the night, then this next one is the rock star. Loud, powerful, and a little intimidating. Meet the Eurasian eagle owl. With blazing orange eyes and ear tufts like horns, this bird looks like it flew straight out of a fantasy movie. Seriously, if there's ever a casting call for wise ancient creature guarding the mountain, this owl's got the part. It's one of the largest owls in the world, with wings stretching over 6 feet wide. That's nearly the size of a full-grown person, and when it spreads them over Morocco's cliffs at night, it's like watching a shadow glide across the moon. Here's the fun part. This owl doesn't hoot softly like others. It booms. Its deep call can echo for miles through rocky canyons. It's basically nature's subwoofer, letting everyone know who's in charge. And the diet? Let's just say, don't mess with it. Rodents, snakes, other birds, even small foxes. If it moves and fits in those talons, it's dinner. One swoop, one strike, no second chances. But here's the twist. Despite its fierce look, Eurasian eagle owls are surprisingly gentle parents. They mate for life, share food, and guard their chicks like royalty. The father hunts, the mother stays home. It's teamwork, feathered and fierce. Now imagine this. You're camping in the Atlas Mountains. The night is still, stars everywhere. And suddenly, that low, echoing hoot rolls through the valley. Goosebumps? Guaranteed. So here's a question for you. Would you rather be the silent hunter like this owl, or the colorful singer like the bee-eater we met earlier? Two birds, two extremes, both unforgettable. And speaking of wings that command the skies, our next bird trades midnight for sunlight, soaring over waves and salt air instead of mountains. Let's fly north to Morocco's shimmering coastlines and meet the elegant Audouin's gull. After prowling through Morocco's mountains and deserts, it's time to catch a sea breeze and a touch of elegance. Meet the Audouin's gull, one of the rarest and most refined gulls on Earth. Sleek silver feathers, dark red bill, and eyes as sharp as a sailor's compass. This bird is the ocean's quiet aristocrat. Now I know what you're thinking. A gull? Really? Aren't those the French fries thieves at the beach? Well, yes, most gulls are like that, but not this one. The Audouin's gull has class. It doesn't hang out in parking lots or raid your picnic. It prefers untouched coastlines and remote islands, the kind you can only reach by boat or by drone. Here's the hook. This gull almost vanished from the world in the 1960s. Only a few dozen pairs remained, mostly in the Mediterranean. But thanks to conservation efforts, it's making a comeback. And Morocco's Atlantic coast is one of its safe havens. A real comeback story in feathers. And get this, unlike other gulls that scream all day, Audouin's gulls are surprisingly soft-spoken. They communicate in short, gentle calls, like the introverts of the seabird world. Fun fact, they often hunt at night, following fishing boats and using the moonlight to spot small fish near the surface. That's right. While other gulls are sleeping, these guys are out there night fishing like pros. But here's the twist. Their future is still fragile. Pollution, overfishing, and habitat loss are constant threats. And yet every morning, they return to the Moroccan shores, gliding effortlessly above the waves as if nothing could ever stop them. So tell me, if you could spend a day anywhere in Morocco, would you choose the desert dunes or this quiet, moonlit coast? Hard choice, right? But don't worry, we're not leaving the water just yet. Because floating nearby, with feathers glowing warm orange under the sunset, is a bird so beautiful it looks like the desert turned into gold. Let's meet the radiant Ruddy Shelduck. Our journey along Morocco's coast ends with a bird that looks like it was dipped in sunset. Meet the Ruddy Shelduck, the desert's golden traveler. Imagine this, the evening light glowing orange over the wetlands, and there, gliding across the still water, a duck that shines like liquid amber. It's so beautiful that locals call it the spirit of the Sahara. And honestly, that fits perfectly. Now here's the fun part. The Ruddy Shelduck is not your average duck. It's more like the wanderer of the water world. You'll find it in mountain lakes, desert oases, even salt flats, places where most ducks would say, no thanks. But this one, it just flaps its wings and says, challenge accepted. And get this, they're often seen in pairs because Ruddy Shelducks mate for life. Once they find their partner, that's it, forever. They feed together, migrate together, and if separated, they call out until they find each other again. Yeah, you could say it's the desert's definition of loyalty. Here's a little twist, though. During nesting season, these fiery birds can get surprisingly aggressive. They'll chase away anything that gets too close, even larger birds or unsuspecting photographers. It's like, back off, buddy. Love story in progress. Fun fact, their soft, echoing ah-oo call sounds hauntingly beautiful at dawn, like a mix between a goose and a whispering wind. When hundreds of them gather on Moroccan lakes, their voices fill the air like a peaceful chant. It's one of those sounds you never forget. So let me ask you, if you had to choose between a life of comfort in one place or adventure across deserts and mountains like this duck, which would you pick? Because that's what Morocco's birds teach us. Beauty, courage, and love can bloom anywhere, even where the world seems silent and dry. And speaking of beauty, we've reached the end of our journey. But before you go, let's take one last look at what makes Morocco truly magical. From the glowing dunes of the Sahara to the blue waves of the Atlantic, Morocco's skies have shown us something extraordinary. Life, color, and courage in every feather. We've met ancient messengers like the Northern Bald Ibis, clever survivors like the desert sparrow, and fearless hunters like the mighty eagle owl. Each one carries a story, a reminder that even in the harshest places on Earth, beauty never gives up. Maybe that's what makes these birds so special. They don't just live in Morocco, they are Morocco, resilient, vibrant, mysterious. So if you enjoyed this flight, tap that like button, share it with a fellow explorer, and tell me, which Moroccan bird stole your heart today? The colorful bee eater, the golden duck, or maybe that punk rock ibis at the start? Because next time, we're heading across the sea to another land of legends, where flamingos walk on salt lakes and pink feathers dance under an African sun. You won't want to miss that one. Until then, keep your eyes on the sky and your heart wild.